Hello dear friends, glad to be back. Today is 5th of December. Now it's 5:30 in the morning Moscow time. I'm Levan Gudadze and this is my first update for the day in which I will share all the main news that are making headlines in Russian media outlets and Russian language pages on different internet platforms. There are quite a few very significant developments and news that I'd like to share with you for this moment, but before I start, let me make a little announcement about our project. From today, I'll begin creating short videos, short news updates on the main channels on YouTube and Rumble. And well, I did already uploaded the first short video, which is about hundreds of billions of dollars that was earned by US and European weapons manufacturers in 2022, and I guess in 2023 their revenues are significantly higher. Hopefully you will find time to check that video out. It will definitely help our channel to reach wider audience, I believe. And also, dear friends, I did created an additional segment in a playlist. Its name is short videos, and you can always check this short list, this playlist with short videos, and see what is available there. Hopefully this segment will be taken by our community with interest. I hope on that very much. That being said, let's talk about news now, and first of all, short summary of the situation on Ukrainian battlefield, and I will start with breaking news for this morning, which is that according to reports from number of sources, traffic on the Crimean bridge is temporarily closed, and Russian air defense systems are actively working in the Kerch city area. And also, dear friends, just a few minutes ago I did reported additional news that Russian air defense systems were also active in Feodosia area, which is a southern eastern part of Crimean Peninsula. So I guess Ukrainian side, Kyiv regime did made attempt to strike deep inside Russian territory once again, and this time in direction of Crimea. There is no additional information at this moment, but during the day we will of course receive information about activity of Russian air defense systems in this area, and I will probably devote separate video to update you on this strike or attempted strike of Kyiv regime in direction of Kerch, possibly Crimean bridge or Kerch bridge, and in direction of Feodosia. And also, dear friends, this night or early hours of morning, Russian armed forces conducted quite massive drone and missile strikes towards logistical and military infrastructure of Kyiv regime in several directions, including Nikolaev and Odessa regions, and also western regions of Ukraine, including Lvov city and surrounding areas. During the day, Russian Defense Ministry will probably share with public additional information about these strikes, and of course I will post about it on my Telegram page. And while I'm here on my Telegram, dear friends, this morning I did share some small short compilation of videos from Moscow and Dmitrov that me and my family members made in last few days. So if you are interested, you can check that video also on Telegram channel. Well, that's been said, let's continue with some additional news. Plenty of information to unpack. So let's begin. RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian armed forces cut routes of supply and support of Ukrainian grouping of forces in Artyomovsk Solidar direction, or in Bakhmut Solidar direction, which is northern flank of Donetsk sector, We are talking about this area, dear friends, and Russian forces managed to cut these supply routes mainly as a result of establishing control over the Khramovo area, and also as a result of successful offensive operations on the northern flank of Bakhmut in direction of Bogdanovka and Grigorievka. So Ukrainian units in Bakhmut Solidar area gonna have some more issues when it comes to reinforcement or resupply with munition or fuel and the rest of it. So that's a quite important development, I believe. And also, dear friends, RIA Novosti is reporting that Russian armed forces almost entirely clear up the territory from enemy forces in vicinity of Kurakhova, in vicinity of Kurakhova settlement, which is also Donetsk direction, Marinka area. So Kurakhova is here, by the way, this settlement on this water, on the banks of this water reservoir, and according to Russian reports, which is based on the reports of Russian Defense Ministry, Russian forces managed to not just establish control of the Marinka, but also establish control over all the settlements in between Marinka and suburbs of Kurakhova. So this map didn't acknowledge this yet, but I guess in a couple of days' time they will be forced to make some changes on this map. Also significant development. A few days ago there was reports that were contradicting each other about Marinka. Is this settlement under full Russian control or not? But now we have additional information which basically confirms that not just Marinka is under Russian control, but also Russian forces managed to move forward quite significantly. And there may be only small groups of Ukrainian forces that are hiding in the ruins on the outskirts of Marinka, and basically those small pockets of Ukrainian forces are not making any change on this sector whatsoever. Let's continue also with additional news. And well, before I share with you this information about Zelensky's attempt to have a direct control over the army, avoiding communication with the Zaluzhny, head of general staff, let me give you a short summary based on the map on Ukrainian battlefield. And well, according to reports from Russian media, Russian military channels, and the Russian Defense Ministry, there were no crucial changes on any of the sectors of the front line. Russian forces are holding initiative all along the line of contact in Kherson region. It's significant. We can observe significant decrease in activity last several days, maybe because the Ukrainian side finally did realize that they are entering Russian trap by crossing the Dnieper River. There may be some other reasons for that. Deployment by Russian side additional weapons. In this particular case, drones, for example, with the night vision equipment, which does makes life of Ukrainian units on the left bank so much more difficult. But overall situation is under full Russian control. Nothing is happening that can influence this sector of the front line in immediate future. When it comes to Zaporozhye and South Donetsk sectors of the front line, also operational post just the local scale skirmishes. Although Russian forces did conduct local scale offensive operations in Rabotina area quite successfully, and some videos are circulating in internet about these successful operations. I may share that with those videos on my Telegram later on. Overall, it's still operational pause. Nothing is happening that can influence this sector of the front line. Same goes for South Donetsk sector of the front. Of course, when it comes to Donetsk sector, main hotspots are Avdiivka and Bakhmut and surrounding areas, in which Russian forces are conducting large-scale offensive operations quite successfully and improving their positions on daily basis. But yet again, we are not talking about some decisive moves for this moment. When it comes to Avdiivka, I expect large-scale Russian offensive in about 2-3 weeks time, no earlier than that. When it comes to Bakhmut sector, we probably will see large-scale Russian offensive operations somewhere late January, early February, when Russian forces will conduct large-scale offensive operations all along the central and the northern sectors of the front, and possibly even in the southern sectors. At least that's my reading of big picture. And when it comes to northern sectors, from let's say Seversk up to Kupiansk, also no significant changes. Artillery duels between the sides, local scale skirmishes, and reckoning force operations. Main hotspot is still Sinkovka, this settlement here, which is partially controlled by Russian forces and partially Ukrainian forces. That's why this settlement, in my understanding, is disputed at this point between the sides. So overall, as I said, operational pause is holding all along the front line, and the sides are exchanging fire mainly with artillery, missile strikes, and the drone strikes. That's been said. Before I continue, dear friends, let me of course thank all of you for your time and attention, and of course special thank to all the members of our communities who support my work with donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. Without your attention and support, this project would not exist. So I am very grateful to you, and well, thank you very much. Thank you very much. You make my dream come true. I'm able to work at least as a citizen journalist, and try to create programs, as informative programs as I possibly can. Thank you. Let's continue with additional news. As I said, RT did report that Zelensky is trying to directly communicate with the generals, some generals of Ukrainian armed forces, bypassing Zaluzhny and the general staff in large. Let me read several sentences here. So, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky is bypassing General Valery Zaluzhny, the country's top military leader, to give orders directly to commanders. The Ukrainskaya Pravda news outlet reported on Monday, citing sources close to leadership in Kiev. Zaluzhny sometimes only learns of what the military is doing from his subordinates. The report claimed Zelensky and the commander-in-chief of the Ukrainian armed forces have been at loggerheads for months, and Kiev's failed summer counteroffensive has worsened the tensions, according to insiders. Well, the president of Ukraine created a parallel track of communication with the senior military leaders, including Alexander Syrsky, commander of the ground forces of Ukraine, and Nikolai Aleshchuk, commander of the Air Force. The report added Zelensky's office is said to find this convenient, but practice has disrupted the normal chain of command, much to Zaluzhny's chagrin. What is chagrin? what that even means, this word. Grief, much to Zaluzhny's grief. Well, Zaluzhny is not happy, let's say this way, with this development. Excuse me, which is quite understandable. And this information once again confirms what we already know, that between Zaluzhny and Zelensky, conflict is already have been created and only escalating. From now on, this conflict will only escalate, undoubtedly, and at some point, I would not be surprised if we will see even armed confrontation between the camps of Zaluzhny and Zelensky. Let's continue with additional news. TASS news agency is reporting that US has invited Zelensky to give a speech via video link on a close briefing of US senators, probably to persuade US lawmakers to provide Ukraine with additional weapons and money. But yet again, I don't think Zelensky's plea to US senators will have any special influence on decision-making process in Washington. RIA Novosti is reporting that negotiations between Democrat and Republican lawmakers in US did not went down successfully, and these negotiations were exactly about financial and military support of Kyiv regime. Sides are still not agreeing on Biden's proposal, Biden's aid initiative for Ukraine, combined aid initiative, which includes funds for Kyiv regime, for Israel, for Taiwan, and also for border security. At this point, what is known, at least openly, is that Republicans are demanding some strong measures when it comes to border control, and the Democrats are not willing to agree on demands of Republicans. You know my take on this topic. I'm quite sure US military-industrial complex and corrupt officials will use all the influence to make sure that this Biden's initiative, one way or another, but will pass Congress and then a Senate of US, because after all, this is last paycheck for them from Ukrainian crisis. Only difference may be in the sums that will be allocated for Ukraine. For example, Biden in his initiative wants $63 billion for Kyiv regime, but as a result of trade between the sides, eventually Ukraine may be allocated, I don't know, 30-40 billion, but still plenty of money for US military-industrial complex and US corrupt politicians, because significant part of these sums eventually will of course end up on their bank accounts. Let's continue now, and Interfax news agency is reporting that State Department of US once again made statement how important it is US Congress to pass Biden's initiative about financial and military aid for Ukraine. So this constant cry from White House, State Department and Pentagon about funds for Kyiv regime is, constant. It's not stopping. And this information only confirms that. And additional confirmation from John Kirby, official representative of White House, who also did cry yet again. This is a kind of daily routine, I guess, for representatives of White House, State Department and the Pentagon to cry on daily basis about money and weapons for Kiev regime. That's what they do, really, on daily basis. We have this type of news on every single day, and this today is no exception. So John Kirby did said that money for Ukraine desperately needed, and basically he is demanding Congress to act as fast as possible. Let's read several sentences here. So Biden's administration is desperately trying to release funds to help Ukraine's military in the conflict with Russia, the White House National Security Council coordinator has said. During an appearance on ABC News on Sunday, John Kirby was asked whether US President Joe Biden would give in to demands by Republicans who are insisting that $106 billion national security supplemental request for Ukraine and Israel be conditional on a security spending boost for the US-Mexico border. John Kirby declined to answer the question, saying that won't get ahead of the president's decision-making. Instead, he again stressed the importance of the stalled aid package. I'll tell you, in that supplemental request that we put forward, yet there is money for Ukraine which we desperately need. There is money for Israel. There is also money for border security, said John Kirby. So yet again, just a cry, man. This is daily stuff, as I said, daily routine for these U.S. officials. TASS news agency is also reporting that, well, according to press spokesman of White House or President of U.S. Biden, Karine Jean-Pierre, Washington was expecting that Kiev will fall shortly after special military operation began. So I guess this individual, this Karine Jean-Pierre, is so badly informed, really, or maybe she is acting, who knows. But let's assume she's not an actor and she's honest. Let's just assume that. And in that case, she's, so badly informed that she has no idea what was going on in March 2022, when Russian side and Ukrainian side conducted negotiations in Istanbul, Turkey, and peace talks to end confrontation, and the demands of Russian side were very, very, let's say, basic. Security for Russian speakers, security and respect for Russian speakers and the Russian language in Ukraine, and the neutrality of this failed state, neutrality of Kiev or Ukraine. It's a basic demands, isn't it? Nothing hard, nothing comprehensive, but we all know that London and Washington get involved in March, and they basically force Zelensky to refuse to sign any peace deal with Russia. And we know now that Boris Johnson, then Prime Minister of Ukraine, went to Kyiv and basically forced Zelensky and his associates to stop any negotiations with Russian side. And head of, if I remember correctly, head of State Department and Defense Ministry or Defense Department also went to Kyiv for very same reason. And basically Washington and London did manage to derail peace talks between Russia and Ukraine's current government. So what this individual, what Karine Jean-Pierre is talking about when she's saying that White House was expecting that Kiev will be taken by Russian forces shortly after special military operation began. Moscow did not even have the intention to take Kiev. Russian forces approached Kiev, negotiations began. As a goodwill, Russian side withdraw forces from Kiev region, from Sumy region, from Chernihiv region to highlight that Moscow is very serious when it comes to peace talks. And the sides were very close to sign a peace treaty, peace agreement. But yet again, Washington and London intervene, and the rest of it is history. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting that, and this is also very important news, dear friends. I will probably devote separate video to this topic to unpack entirely, because plenty of very interesting news, really. And well, RT reported about article in Washington Post, according to which Ukraine and US are now trading blames between each other for a failed counteroffensive. But in this article, dear friends, Washington Post is sharing quite interesting news that maybe was not known for many people. Let's read at least several sentences. US and British officers helped plan the Ukrainian spring-summer campaign and provided all the asked for vehicles, but Kiev decided to divide its forces in three directions, according to Washington Post feature published on Monday. Over a dozen Post employees interviewed Washington Post employees interviewed more than 30 senior officials from Ukraine, US, and EU. Only a handful identified by name. The outlet's conclusion was that a counteroffensive born in optimism has failed to deliver its expected punch, generating friction and second-guessing between Washington and Kiev. And also very important, dear friends, a very important point in this article is that this so-called Ukrainian counteroffensive was planned basically by US and British militaries, and they were conducting even games, military games, to make changes in their plans. So Washington and London were directly involved in this operation, and now they are blaming Kiev regime for failure. And according to them, it's a Kiev regime that did not act according to this plan, and that's why they failed. Kiev regime has different approach. They are blaming Washington and London because, according to Ukrainian officials, they did not receive all the promised weapons in time. But article is very interesting. And I will definitely devote separate video to this topic, and I will upload that video today. So hopefully you will check that video also, and I hope you will find it interesting. But let's continue now. Because I will read the entire article now, but it will take too much time, and there is plenty of news really to share in this update. Let's check how long is this video. It's already half an hour. So RT is also reporting that United Kingdom did share information. Government of United Kingdom Defense Ministry did share information about casualties on Russian side and I will share with you this information. It's up to you if you believe British Defense Ministry or not, but information is that the British Ministry of Defense claimed on Monday that 50,000 Russian soldiers have died and up to 240,000 have been wounded in the course of Ukrainian conflict, with another 20,000 killed and 40,000 wounded in the ranks of the now disbanded Wagner group. Between February 2022 and the end of the November, the Russian military likely suffered between 180 and 240,000 personnel wounded and approximately 50,000 killed, the MOD said on Twitter. So they did published post on the Twitter. Wagner Group mercenaries likely suffered approximately 40,000 wounded and 20,000 killed. The MOD claimed for a total of around 220, 280 wounded and approximately 70,000 killed. I remind you, dear friends, that BBC also conducted its survey together with the Media Zona, which is Russian independent media outlet funded by Western-backed pussy right activists, and according to studies or materials of BBC and Media Zona, they have confirmed the according to them, Russian side lost 38,261 military personnel for December 1st. That's their claim. So BBC says Russian side lost 38,000 military personnel, and UK's defense ministry is saying that Russia lost 50,000 military personnel, and the PMC Wagner unit lost additional 20,000. Well, I am skeptical, of course, about claims, report of British Defense Ministry, because how you can trust them? I mean, let's be honest. I mean, can you trust UK's Defense Ministry on anything whatsoever? Of course not. They are part of this conflict. And of course they are trying to increase number of casualties on Russian side and minimize number of casualties on Ukrainian side. That's what they do. Of course, number of casualties on Russian side gonna be in thousands. If we combine number of casualties in Rosguardia, in Defense Ministry, and in PMC Wagner units, number of casualties gonna be in tens of thousands, for sure. But until Russian Defense Ministry will share information about it, I mean, everything is speculation. All other information is a speculation. So, you know, if UK's Defense Ministry is saying that Russian side lost 50,000 soldiers, then I guess real number is at least twice less than that. I guess. This is my guess only. Although, of course, even if it's the case, then 25,000 casualty number is, of course, immense. But yet again, Russia is fighting this war against Western ruling class to save itself, just to survive. And whenever statehood of Russia is in danger, which is the case right now, because everyone understands Russia is fighting not Ukraine. Russia is fighting ruling class of the West, NATO basically. And in this regard, Russian society was always strong enough to do whatever it takes to protect country and protect nation. And if leadership of UK thinks that they will share some information, they will inflate number of Russian casualties and they will spread this information in hope that it will create some divisions inside the Russia, they are very much mistaken, because they just don't know how Russian people are operating. Anyway, let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting that the National Interest magazine, by the way, did publish an article about which Russian plane will most likely take a fight against US F-16s if and when these fighter jets will be deployed to Ukraine. And well, according to analyst of National Interest, Maya Karlin, this plane gonna be Su-57, Russian 5th gen Su-57 fighter jet, which, according to this expert, will be most likely deployed by Russian side to neutralize threat from F-16s. And well, even though F-16s are very capable 4th generation fighter bombers, capable to conduct not just air-to-air fights, but combat, but also air-to-ground operations. Well, I don't think Russia will need to deploy Su-57s to combat F-16s, because in Russian inventory there is MiG-35 fighter jets, there is Su-30 fighter jets, Su-35 fighter jets, and even Su-27s, by the way, are well capable to take down F-16s. But especially MiG-35, MiG-35, Su-30s and Su-35s that are 4+ generation fighter jets. When F-16 is a good 4th generation fighter. So I have to disagree. I have to disagree with the expert of National Interest. Russian side will have no need to deploy its Su-57s against F-16s, because maybe Western media outlets want to do some advertise for F-16s and create this narrative that, well, this is a, I mean, kind of game changer, and the Russian side will be forced to use its most capable fighter jet to deal with this plane, which is a false narrative, by the way. False narrative. Su-35s can take on 4 or 5 F-16s simultaneously and take them down, all of them. Single Su-35 can take down, I mean, as many F-16s as it will have missiles on the board, because Su-35 has a longer range missiles, Su-35 has a better radar, and Su-35 is better in every sense possible than F-16. And dear friends, when it comes to this plane, and once again, this is very capable plane, by the way, but let's be realistic. Let's be realistic. Su-35 is a latest modernization, let's say, of Su-27. This is, I mean, airframe may look similar, but in every other sense, these planes are very different. Su-35 is a super capable fighter jet, and F-16s are just good 4th gen fighter bombers. That's all it is. US at this point has at least two better 4th gen fighter jets than F-16. For example, F-18s and F-15s. Both planes are better than F-16. I'm not talking about F-22, which is 5th-gen fighter jet, and obviously it's better than all the other fighter jets in US inventory. They are F-35s, but F-35s are not really fighter jets. They are ground attack planes mainly, and they are not really capable to conduct air-to-air combat. So I would not take F-35 seriously at all. It's just a huge advertisement that Pentagon and the U.S. military-industrial complex created around the F-35. But in reality, F-35 is just a jump. I mean, it's worse than F-16, I will say, as a fighter jet, by the way. But anyway, when it comes to these planes, F-16s, you know my take. I was quite skeptical that F-16s will ever end up in hands of Kiev regime. My understanding was that Western-made fighter jets will be introduced to this battlefield when we will see final stage in the Ukrainian crisis, which is full-scale disintegration of modern Ukraine, when its neighboring countries will establish control over its territories. And in this regard, Russia will take significant or majority of territories of Ukraine, and the Western neighbors like Poland, Hungary, Romania and Slovakia will establish control of the Western regions, and that's a time. That was a time, in my understanding, that will be the time when we will see introduction of Western fighter jets to the battlefield. But some time ago, if you remember, I did report that Ribor, Russian biggest military channel, did reported that 5 F-16s, according to him, have been delivered to Kiev regime in parts, and since then these planes maybe were reassembled, and who knows, maybe Kiev regime already has somewhere 5 F-16s. Maybe. I did not see from Ribor any retraction of this news, but because Ribor is a trusted source, I'm kind of confused now, because to me it seems illogical, absolutely illogical, to deliver any Western fighter jets at all to Kiev regime. But at the same time, I have to take in account report from Ribor, and at this point I don't even know what to think. Are F-16s already in Ukraine or not? Officially there was no statements, at least for now, that F-16s were delivered to Kiev regime from any side. But anyway, let's continue. Interfax is reporting that Prime Minister of Hungary, Orban, calls EU not to discuss topic of Ukraine joining EU in upcoming summit, EU summit in December. And according to Orban, we all know position of Hungary and Prime Minister Orban. Budapest is quite sure that Ukraine is in no position to seen as a real potential member of the EU for many reasons. Military conflict, economical situation, corruption in Ukraine, human rights in Ukraine, human rights issue of minorities and so on. Hungary has huge list why Ukraine is not close enough to be ready to join EU. And I don't think position of Budapest will change anytime soon. And this statement from Prime Minister Orban just confirms exactly that. And also RT is reporting that more than 1,500 trucks are stuck at the Ukraine-Hungary border crossings, which is quite interesting, because simultaneously we all know that there are huge traffic jam on border crossings between Ukraine and Poland, and same is beginning now in Slovakia, where truckers and the farmers protesting EU's decision, Brussels' decision to ease for Ukraine trade with the EU and also transportation, because of which farmers and the truckers in this particular case in Eastern European countries are having significant losses, financially speaking, and many of them are just losing business entirely. And that's the main reason why they are protesting and blocking basically border crossings. But Hungary is also among them now. I was thinking to myself what's going on the border crossings between Ukraine and Hungary, and now we have information that situation is not simple there also, and 1,500 trucks. Just imagine how long that traffic jam gonna be. 1,500 trucks are stuck on the border crossings between Ukraine and Hungary. Let's continue. RIA Novosti is reporting about quite surprising decision of President of Bulgaria, who vetoed Parliament's decision to transfer to Ukraine about 100 armored personnel carriers, old armored personnel carriers, and in its justification, President of Bulgaria, Rumen Radev, did said that Bulgaria's lawmakers did not have enough information to have a good understanding if these armored personnel carriers are needed for Bulgaria or not, and therefore they should receive additional information and then vote on this subject again. So I guess Kyiv regime will not receive promised armored personnel carriers from Bulgaria anytime soon. Surprising decision from President of Bulgaria, especially if you take in account how Russophobic current elites of this failed state are. They are immensely Russophobes. They will do anything to please their Western masters. And that's why I was surprised that President of Bulgaria vetoed this decision of Parliament to transfer dozens of armored personnel carriers to Kyiv regime. Anyway, let's continue. And well, you may find this information also interesting. One of the Ukrainian POWs did give an interview to Russian media, and he said that he ended up being a POW because driver of infantry fighting vehicle in which he was that driver was drunk. He get lost and drive his fighting vehicle straight to the positions of Russian military, and then of course these Ukrainian soldiers that were inside this infantry fighting vehicle had no other choice other than lay down arms and surrender. So these kind of anecdote stories are also happening on the front line, which is, well, I guess also somewhat funny and interesting. And this POW did said during this interview that very same driver, before they all end up in Russian captivity, that very same driver previously took almost a platoon to a minefield, and when anti-personnel minefield, and when fighters descended from infantry fighting vehicle, 5 of them died almost immediately. because of those mines. So you can have a, I mean, you can imagine what kind of people have been mobilized, what in forcefully mobilized in Ukraine, what kind of training they got, what kind of discipline is in Ukrainian armed forces, if it's possible that drunk people are driving armored personnel carriers up and down. I mean, it's crazy, isn't it? But that's a story that POW did share with the Russian journalists, and he could not lie because that infantry fighting vehicle is probably in Russian hands now, so he don't have to come up with some story. So now let's talk about another hotspot, of course, another major topic, which is of course Middle East, escalation between Israel and Palestine. And according to this report from TASS news agency, Air Force of Israel did conducted strikes in southern Lebanon against Hezbollah, and same time Hezbollah also claimed that they did also conducted strikes against Israeli Defense Force, against IDF, in 12 different directions. So since the beginning of this second wave of escalation in the Palestine, Israel began conducting its operations against Lebanon and Syria also, and as you can see here, I mean, Hezbollah is fighting back, and I'm afraid if these hostilities intensify further, at some point Hezbollah may get involved in this confrontation with the full force, which may become a reason for Israel for ask US for direct involvement, and in that case we may see US military operations against Lebanon and Hezbollah. Maybe that is the plan of Netanyahu. Maybe that is exactly the plan of Netanyahu, and you know my take on entire this Middle Eastern escalation. I did say straight away that when it comes to Gaza Strip, my understanding is that Netanyahu's government will implement, or at least try to implement, Karabakh scenario, which means that Netanyahu's government will try to force out of Gaza Strip all the locals, and in other hand, Western ruling elites may use this escalation in the Middle East to provoke confrontation, full-scale confrontation between Israel and Hezbollah, which in terms may become a reason or catalysator to provoke conflict between Israel and Iran. And if Iran will get involved in this confrontation, then we obviously have a regional war there, which will devastate not just Middle East, but also entire world. And I did explain why, in my understanding, Western ruling elites will want to provoke regional war, mainly because they want to cut off China from energy sources of Middle East. That's my understanding. That's why they will try to provoke regional war, because it's obvious that if Iran will get involved in this confrontation one way or another, they will be shipping in the Persian Gulf, and Hormuz Strait will be totally impossible. And China will be cut off from extremely important for Beijing energy source in the Middle East. But anyway, let's continue. let's continue. And next news is also interesting. RIA Novosti reported about article in Wall Street Journal, according to which Israeli side did establish pumping stations in the Gaza Strip, and they are planning to flood underground tunnels that are used by Hamas. This was initially reported by Wall Street Journal and many other media outlets, including RIA Novosti, also report about it. Well, technically speaking, it's quite possible. It's nothing impossible to flood those tunnels. Maybe Hamas has some countermeasures exactly for such a case, or maybe not. No one knows. But well, let's see if Israeli side will take such a step and flood tunnels in the northern part of Gaza Strip. RT is reporting that Israel was to hunt Hamas anywhere. That was said by security chief. Let me also read this information. Israel plans to launch security operation against members of Palestinian Hamas militant group who reside outside of Gaza. The head of Israel's domestic security service, Shin Bet, that's the name, if I'm not mistaken, of that institution, did made there is no name of that person. Why? Ronen Bar, I guess. Yes, that's head of Shin Bet. So a Jewish state will hunt down the militants anywhere in the world. Bar said, that individual, in a video aired by the Israeli public broadcaster Kan. The official said that Turkey, Lebanon and Qatar are among the countries where Israel plans to search for its adversaries. Well, Israel does has quite a story when it comes to assassinations worldwide, and in this regards, nothing new in the statement of head of Shin Bet. I don't know how serious they are, but when it comes to capabilities of Israeli security services or secret services, well, they definitely, at least they have a history of assassinations in Europe, Latin America, just about in all continents worldwide, with the exception of Antarctica, I guess. Kommersant newspaper, but this is strange, by the way. I mean, these type of statements are kind of strange because it's Netanyahu and his government that were using Hamas to combat Fatah organization, which is in charge of West Bank, and they always had some kind of connection, maybe even cooperation, one may say. And now these kind of statements that they're gonna eliminate Hamas leaders and so on, I don't know, man. Maybe this is just a statement for public domestic use and nothing more. Who knows? Let's continue now. And the Kommersant newspaper is reporting that during the attack on 7th of October on Israel, Hamas managed to target Israeli military base where IDF hides stores its missiles that are capable to carry nuclear warheads. So this is quite interesting news, really. And this base name of this base is Sdot Micha, and according to reports from different media sources, as a result of Hamas missile strike on this military base, there were significant fire and many warehouses with weapons were destroyed, and possibly among them missiles, nuclear capable missiles also. Yet again, officially, Israel never acknowledged that they have nuclear weapons, directly at least. But it's a kind of open secret. Everybody knows that Israel is a nuclear power, and they probably have, I don't know, 75, 150, 300 nukes. Who knows? TASS news agency is reporting that State Department, U.S. State Department made a statement that White House position when it comes to Gaza Strip is that borders of Gaza should not be changed as a result of current escalation. Well, statement itself is maybe understandable. State Department is, this statement is somewhat guarantees that Gaza Strip will remain Palestinian, but in other hands, who knows what kind of negotiations Netanyahu's government has with Washington behind the scenes. So one thing is open statements, public statements, and very different stuff may be talked about between the sides in reality. Because, you know, as I said many times before, in my understanding, Netanyahu's government planned from very beginning to use this escalation as a justification to force all the Palestinians out of Gaza Strip into Sinai Peninsula of Egypt. And I don't really have any indicators at this point to change my initial reading of big picture. Let's continue. TASS news agency is reporting that yet another aircraft of Russian Ministry of Emergency Situations did conducted race from Egypt to Moscow, and 120 Russian citizens that was evacuated from Gaza. It's more than 700 at this point, as I understand. Citizens of Russia have been evacuated from Gaza, but several hundred citizens are still remain in southern Gaza and are waiting, I believe, to be evacuated. And well, let's talk about some other news now. Also, Commerçant newspaper did report that President of Brazil did promise that he will invite Putin in 2024 for a G20 summit, and well, he said that Brazil, dear friends, are participant of Rim Statute. So formally, Brazil is recognizing International Criminal Court, which is of course a corrupt institution and the tool of Western ruling elites, and has nothing to do with justice whatsoever. It's a pure political tool in hands of Western ruling class. And well, President of Brazil, Lula da Silva, did said that he will definitely invite Putin, and then it will be up to Putin to make decision, will he visit Brazil or not. And because International Criminal Court issue arrest warrant on Putin, Lula said that if Putin will visit, it will depend on Brazilian side and the president of Brazil. What actions will be taken? Will Brazil act according to demands from International Criminal Court, or will Brazil ignore demands from International Criminal Court? And this statement is interesting exactly because of this last part, because basically Lula da Silva did say that he don't really cares about decision of International Criminal Court, because I guess he did not see this institution as one that can be respected, which is quite understandable. Everybody understands in this world that ICC is a political tool and weapon, I will say, in hands of Western ruling class, and cannot be respected. I mean, in no circumstances can be respected. That's it. Let's continue. RT is reporting that President of Russian Federation, Vladimir Putin, did spoke about migration into Russia, especially migration of temporary migration, when people are moving into Russia for work. And well, let me read several sentences here. Immigrants who came to work and live in Russia must comply with its laws and respect its customs and traditions, including learning their language, President Vladimir Putin said on Monday. Putin addressed the issue at a meeting of the Council for the Development of Civil Society and Human Rights, traditionally held in early December. We need to attract such labor resources that meet the interests of the Russian economy, the president said. This means that people must be prepared from a linguistic, ethnocultural point of view. They must know our traditions and so on. So basically, Putin's just saying quite simple stuff. If you are planning to move to Russia for work and for living, be respectful, learn language, and just be good guest in Russia. And you are welcome. That's it, basically. But if you act any other way, then Russian doors will be closed for you forever, or at least for 4 or 5 years, because after deportation, individual that was deported cannot enter Russia for 4 or 5 years, something like that. So, well, fact itself that Putin did spoke about this topic is interesting, because there is a huge flow of migrant force, working force in Russia, and locals are not always happy with the attitude of some of the migrants. Some of them. Not all of them, of course, but some of them, and it does create some tension inside the society here. And well, it's good that high-ranking officials in Russia, including President, is informed about this topic, and they are making quite clear statements that if you are moving to Russia to work and live, be respectful. Be respectful. That's the only acceptable way for Russia, which is absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. RT is reporting that US dominating global arms trade. Well, I did make first short video, dear friends, on my channel exactly about this topic. So let me read several sentences here. Quite interesting news. Quite interesting news. So, sales of weapons and military services by the world's top 100 arms makers totaled 597 billion last year, according to a report released by Stockholm International Peace Research Institute on Monday. US firms continued to dominate the market despite seeing their overall revenues fall, according to the watchdog. The combined figure for the top 100 arms companies marked a year-on-year decline of 3.5%, but will still 14% higher than the total recorded in 2015. US firms saw combined decline of 7.9% to $302 billion. Can you imagine, dear friends? Revenue of US arms manufacturers, although declined for 7.9% in comparison to previous year, but still reached 302 billion US dollars. Unimaginable number. I mean, huge number, isn't it? And this year, I guess US military industrial complex did made significantly more already, even though year is not ended yet. And in top 100, by the way, in top 100 arms manufacturers, 42 companies are from US and 26 companies are from EU. And these companies did receive more revenue in comparison to previous year, slightly more in 2022, on 0.9%, up to 121 billion USD. So European arms manufacturers made in 2022 $121 billion, and this year, of course, gonna be significantly more profitable for them also. So, I mean, huge numbers, and I mean, no wonder arms manufacturers and military industrial complex in US and Europe has a huge influence over the corrupt political system and politicians. Just look at the money that they are operating with, you know. And that's why modern politicians in US and Europe, significant part of them are constantly for wars. They are constantly for wars, constantly for some chaos and destruction, because they are paid to be for wars and destruction and chaos. They are paid by arms manufacturers that are profiteering from wars, profiteering from destruction. Hundreds and hundreds of billions of dollars, man. That's, you know. Let's continue. RT is reporting that Russia's trade with fellow BRICS country is soaring, which is great news. Western sanctions on Russia intended to undermine its economy have opened a window of opportunity for Brazil, the country's ambassador Rodrigo Baena Soares said on Monday. According to the diplomat, businesses in both countries have adapted to sanctions and managed to overcome difficulties created as a result. Although Western penalties have created logistical and supply hurdles, the diplomat does not see any substantial obstacles for Russia-Brazil cooperation. And what is important, dear friends, last year Russia became Brazil's fifth largest foreign trade partner, up from 11th in 2021, and bilateral relations look promising. According to Brazilian diplomat, overall trade between the countries totaled 2.2 billion in the first quarter of the year, this year. Figures show, well, of course, 2.2 billion in the first quarter may not sound extremely big sum, but yet again, I guess trade between Russia and Brazil, between Russia and many other countries, not just BRICS members, but other countries all around the world, this trade just received this new life, new push to get developed better and better, and therefore I believe trade between the Russian and Brazil will just increase will just increase, and just give it several years, and instead of 2.2 billion we will see, I don't know, 5-10 billion in a trade between each other for a quarter, not for a year, but for a first quarter. Hopefully that's gonna be the case, but fact itself that trade, economical and political relationships between the BRICS members are improving constantly, it's of course great news. RT is reporting that Biden's administration is draining US strategic crude reserves, which is also quite interesting. The emergency stockpile is currently at its lowest level since 1983. Well, Biden's administration did everything really to somehow influence prices on the fuel in the US, and basically they spend almost the half of strategic oil reserves. Yet again, in long run, this is I guess mistake, but in the short run, I don't think US citizens will be very much critical for this, because I mean prices are on gasoline and on fuel in general is not that high, I guess, as a result of this step from Biden's administration, and people are probably people will find some other reasons to criticize Biden's administration, not this one. But of course, in the long run, this may hurt US significantly. Anyway, let's continue. RT is reporting, and this news is gonna be last for today's first main update. Gold prices, dear friends, hit yet again record high. The price of gold touched an all-time peak on Monday, soaring past $2,100 for per ounce as the global safe haven rush continues. Spot gold prices rose to record height of $2,110 per ounce before giving up some gains to trade at $2,090 as of 11:45 GMT. Well, you know my take on this topic also. I did said many times before that if I had any savings, I will definitely invest in gold, because it seems more safe investment to me than anything else at this point, and well, it's quite profitable also. It's not just you are not just saving your assets or your savings, but you are also profiting from it, because gold prices are just increasing. And this process will continue, I believe. This process will continue because we are seeing the-dollarization. We are seeing that euro is losing its positions. People are not more and more skeptical about the stock exchange, because everyone understands that it's a bubble and one day it will burst. And what is the alternative? Of course, you can, if you have huge savings, you can invest in housing. That's also not the housing, but you can invest in недвижимое имущество, how you say it, properties. You can invest in properties, whatever it is. I mean, housing, office blocks, or just warehouses. It's still somewhat safe investment, as I understand. And what else? Precious metals, of course. And gold is on top of that game when it comes to precious metals, I believe, although gold is not the most expensive one, of course. Oh, I do have a few more news. Wow. Okay, I will share this two news also, and well, this is quite interesting, dear friends. Kommersant newspaper did report that while trade between Russia and Europe is declining, or let's say imports from Europe to Russia, simultaneously imports from Europe are significantly increasing in Central Asian republics, and imports from Europe are increasing in Central Asian republics and Southern Caucasus region, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Georgia. And well, this is quite understandable also because these countries are participating one way or another in parallel import. And Russian companies with partnership with the companies in Central Asia and Southern Caucasus, in other countries also, by the way, they are receiving all the goods that they need through these countries as a parallel, as a lines of parallel import. So, well, maybe Brussels bureaucracy was hoping that that Russia will struggle without some goods from EU, but in reality, no. There are many ways to get anything we want from the West, and Russia does it. Although, by the way, I remind you that just recently, President of Russian Federation did make a statement that one of the main tasks for Russian government is to achieve technological independence, which definitely means further increase in investments in Russian industries, further investments in Russian high-tech companies, so that Russia will have no dependence on imports of high-tech goods from anywhere, especially from the unfriendly Western states. And one more news, dear friends, also interesting one. UN General Assembly did vote for Russian resolution, which is about weapons in space, and Russia, on behalf of a number of countries, including Belarus, China, Cuba, North Korea, Syria, Brazil, and Kazakhstan, did propose initiative that no one country will introduce weapons to space, or no one country will use space for deployment of weapons, and 127 countries did vote for it, which is majority, and 51 countries vote against, but resolution was approved by General Assembly. And well, let's hope at least in space countries will manage to cooperate in space and the space explorations, because I mean, plenty of weapons on our planet already. I don't think there is any need to introduce weapons to space, especially to on orbit of Earth. And this is it for now. During the day, dear friends, I will upload at least one or two short videos, and I hope you will find time to check those videos also, and hopefully you will find this update interesting, and if so, please click that like button and leave some commentary about any topic you like. This is, I guess, only way to fight back immensely aggressive and unfair algorithm of YouTube, and only way we can reach wider audience. And for very same reason, please, dear friends, if you can share links to my videos or my friend with links to my videos or my channel. I did not sleep nights, so I'm little tired, but it's all good because since yesterday afternoon. I don't feel like high blood pressure, so it's good. Entire week, by the way, previously I had a high blood pressure and it was terrible, really. But anyway, I have to end this video. So, well, if you can, please, dear friends, share links to my videos or my channel with your friends on any of the platforms that you are active on, or in real life with your friends. With your help, maybe we will manage to reach 20,000 before New Year. That would be great. Although I'm quite skeptical that we will manage to do so, but you know, let's hope. And dear friends, if you think this channel, this project with several channels on YouTube, Rumble, Telegram are interesting, useful, informative, and deserves to exist in this field of news and political commentary, please consider to support my work with small donations through PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, or by subscribing to my Patreon page. You can see links under this video in the description box or in the pinned comment. Well, this is it for now. Have a great day and take care.